meine Arbeit für richtig hältst.
This is a pandemic of the unvaccinated.
We know that over the weekend, police in Gauteng arrested over 1,200.
That they are satisfied that this policy leads to their salvation.
On an approach for vaccine passports, which can be used as evidence of vaccination for various purposes and events.
Has Mao gone mad? Driven perhaps to megalomania by the hysterical adulation of the teenage Red Guard.
I also don't think it should be mandatory.
Neil.
My name's Ruben Janssen van Rensburg. I go to Stellenbosch University. I'm a second-year law student, and currently I think the biggest issue facing us on campus is whether or not the university should be allowed to make COVID vaccinations mandatory. The university passed a motion in the council a couple of weeks ago that said that by 2022 they'd have to make regulations to make COVID vaccinations mandatory. Interestingly, a petition has actually been started by some professors at the university whose names I'll list here above, and that petition has garnered over 7,500 signatures. Now, this petition is pro-vaccine mandates. However, if you go read the comments section of this petition, the vast majority of the comments are actually people saying that they are against the mandate, and there's a substantial portion of people who say that in fact their signatures were added to the petition even though they are against the mandate. So it's unclear exactly how many people in fact support this motion, but if you go through the comment section and tally up the votes, it's very clear that there's a bias against mandatory vaccinations. Now, we have a petition that is against mandatory vaccinations, and again, this is not if you are anti-vaccine. You don't have to be anti-vax to sign this petition. This petition is if you are anti-authoritarianism, if you do not believe that the government has the power to mandate things, to take away your right to choose, your right to bodily integrity, etc. So please, if you support this movement, if you support your right and everybody else's right to choose, go sign our petition, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and like and share the videos as often as possible so that we can fight these authoritarian measures from the university. Now, in order to make the argument for that, I think there are three steps. The first part of the argument is that you have to be convinced that getting vaccinated personally is better than not getting vaccinated. Secondly, you have to be convinced that getting everybody vaccinated is preferable to just having yourself vaccinated. And thirdly, you have to accept the idea that the government has the power necessary to be able to mandate vaccines. Now, before I get into these arguments and why I disagree on one or more of them, first I want to say that in order to support this movement, to sign the petition that's linked down below that you can see, it doesn't mean that you're anti-vaccine. What it means is that you're anti-mandate, anti-authoritarian motions by government institutions, by the government, in order to take away your rights. That's what signing this petition is for. Now, the first argument, are vaccines, is getting vaccinated better than not getting vaccinated? So there's two components to that argument. The first has to do with natural immunity versus vaccine immunity. Now, I'll throw up here on the screen, you guys can see the Pfizer scientists who worked on the vaccines themselves have admitted that natural immunity is far superior. The second thing regarding whether vaccination is better than not getting vaccinated is the age or the length of time that we've had the vaccine. Now, this vaccine is only 18 months old. The Pfizer vaccine is an mRNA vaccine. We don't have any long-term studies on what the potential side effects of taking this vaccine are. And so you may decide that taking the risk of long-term side effects is worth it for you, but someone who doesn't want to take those long-term risks can very well make that argument, especially coupled with the fact that, let's say, they want natural immunity over vaccination immunity, which we've already determined is superior. Why can't they make that decision for themselves? The second thing to consider is herd immunity. Is it better to vaccinate everybody or not? Is it also important that if you're vaccinated that everyone else has to be vaccinated? My question to that is, does the vaccine work or not? Because if the vaccine works, which it does, obviously there's plenty of good reasons to take the vaccine. It reduces hospitalization and death rates very substantially. If you have the vaccine, the chance of you or both vaccines, the chance of you dying are 1 in a million. But at the same time, it's like, so why now do you have to force other people to take the vaccine if it works? The vaccine isn't particularly good at stopping infection rates, although it does reduce infection somewhere between 30 and 70% in recent studies, right? And that seems to wane over time. But the number of infection rates is actually irrelevant when compared to hospitalization and death rates. So if you have the vaccine, why are you concerned about forcing somebody else to? You are safe. If you're concerned about your health and safety, go take the vaccine, but there's no argument that anybody else has to go take it. The second thing again is that natural immunity happens to be much better at stopping reinfection than vaccine immunity. So wouldn't it be a better idea, if the argument is that we need to be safe on campus, to get everybody naturally immune to the virus, and rather than forcing vaccines on everybody? The third component is obviously now whether the government has the authority to mandate that you take vaccines. And regarding that, there's 3 sections in the South African Constitution that are relevant. The first is Section 12, the right to bodily integrity. Now, in that section, it also says that everybody has the right to physical control over their body, to bodily and psychological integrity, and forcing someone to take this vaccine violates that. It violates their control over their body and the physical integrity of their body. Secondly, Section 9, the right to equality. One of the things that is protected there is conscience, your own beliefs. If you believe that the vaccine is not the correct choice for you and the government then goes and forces you to do that, that is a violation of your right to equal treatment. Secondly, the university is violating your right to equal treatment because they are preferentially stating that no, we're going to prefer students with vaccines over students without vaccines, even though the vaccine is only 18 months old. Finally, Section 2 of the Constitution, the right to human dignity. Forcing you to take a medical procedure is a violation of your right to human dignity. And so, although you can argue that we have limitation clauses in the Constitution, it's not applicable to Section 2, but it is to Section 12 and Section 9. Although you can argue that, and you can also argue that the Constitution allows for courts to reinterpret the Bill of Rights and other legislation, you have to warp what the words actually say in order to change the definition. If you read them as they are written, what they mean is very clear. This is not a constitutional mandate. Now, perhaps the most important part of this video is what I'm about to show you guys, and that is recordings of students' interviews we've done with students. This is a little edit. If you want to see the full interviews with students, go subscribe and like the YouTube channel again so that you can see the unedited version of these interviews. But here's a little 2-minute cut of what the students at Stellenbosch University have to say about mandatory vaccinations.
No, I don't think so.
Nia?
I also don't think it should be mandatory.
Nia.
Stem mee samen.
I did get the Pfizer, and yes, I think they should enforce it on everybody, just for extra freedom.
Not force them to take it, but exclude them from gatherings if they didn't take it.
I would encourage everyone. I wouldn't want to make it mandatory, because that's just going to cause massive uprising on campus, because like you can't force someone to do something they don't want to do.
I don't think the vaccine should be mandatory. I think it should. I'm more pro-choice on that one, but I agree with if you want to go to in-person lectures, I think you should be vaccinated.
It shouldn't be forced, but I definitely think people should just.
You should do
I don't think the university should force it, but I think everyone should.
More on the yes
More
than
on the
no.
yes side than
More
no.
on the yes
So
than
they,
the no.
they force you to take the vaccine.
I think if you want to attend in-person classes, then yes. But to be a part of the university, then no.
No, it shouldn't be mandatory. It should be, people should have the liberty to choose whether they want to take the vaccine or not. Yeah.
I think the university should mandate students. I don't think it's necessarily fair to have a blanket mandate for a lot of things in life, but I think in this case, like with positives and negatives weighed, I think it does make sense because it's benefiting everyone.
No, I don't think so.
You don't think so, and why not?
Because of the right to bodily integrity enshrined in our constitution.
No, they shouldn't, because it's a personal decision, and there's risk to it, and you have to take it on your own capacity, basically.
No, not at all.
No, why?
I'm probably open to choice most of the time. If people the choice that whether they want a vaccine or not.
No, it shouldn't be a mandate. No.
Free choice.
Free choice, yes.
Why do you think?
Because if it's a medical choice, so if it's mandated, then they're taking away that right.
As you can see, obviously, of the 15 that we've done so far, and by the way, we are going to interview more students in the future, and that will be posted on the channel. So again, subscribe and like and spread this information, please. Out of all the people that talked, the vast majority were against mandatory vaccinations. Obviously, there were some people who were sort of in the middle, undecided, or had specific ideas like you shouldn't be disallowed from joining the university, but you shouldn't be able to attend in-person classes. But on the whole, most people were against the idea of mandatory vaccines. Oh yeah. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Again, if you support this movement against mandatory vaccines and against authoritarian measures taken by government institutions like the university, please sign the petition and like and subscribe to the YouTube channel and share this content as much as possible. Thank you and goodbye.